Feast or famine is a terrible place to be in your business. It happens for two reasons. I want to talk about what each of those reasons are and talk about some ways that you can fix them regardless of your situation.
I'm Tara Wagner, breakthrough coach and lifelong entrepreneur. I help other entrepreneurs use a holistic approach to business so they can create profits they can depend on without burning themselves out. If that sounds like your jam, be sure to check out my free training on how you can do the same.
So what are the two main causes of feast or famine in a business? The first one is just natural seasonal fluctuations, especially if you have a seasonal business, or all businesses tend to have slower seasons depending on the industry that you're in. The second cause of feast or famine is actually a problem with your marketing plan. Comment below and let me know which of these things you think most applies to you or you have a hunch applies to you, and then let's talk about how to fix either one of them to get you out of that feast or famine cycle in your business. Let's start off with natural seasonal fluctuations, because this is one that we think is normal and that there's nothing we can do about it, but there actually is. First of all, you gotta budget accordingly so that you're not suffering in your slower seasons or your off seasons. This means making sure that you're setting enough of your profit aside during your busy seasons to maintain your business and your own salary or your payroll throughout those slower seasons. This should be money separate from your business emergency fund, because this is not an emergency. This is a season, which means it happens again and again and you can plan for it. Your emergency fund is for things that you cannot plan for. Let me reiterate this. If you have a seasonal business and you make $10,000 in your good months and you make $1,000 in your low months, you need to pretend that you did not just make $10,000. You need to pretend that you made $5,000, because the rest of that money needs to be paying for your business in those off seasons. This is why it's feast and famine, because we don't budget the revenues and the profits according to the actual seasons. We just take it when we get it and then go without it when we don't. Next, make sure that you're planning your vacation, your downtime in those off seasons. I know this sounds obvious, but if you're a seasonal business, it's easy to want to take vacations when everybody else takes vacations, not necessarily when it's the smartest time for you to take vacations. So what this ends up doing is if you take time off in your busy season, then you're going to end up losing that revenue, not having it for your off season. So kind of think of it as a bonus tip. It's not going to necessarily even out your feast or famine too much, but it is going to help you make sure that it's not worse than it needs to be. Along those same lines, make sure that you're using your off seasons for planning, for strategizing, for organizing. Do not do those things during your busy seasons, right? You need to make hay while the sun shines. And if the sun is shining in the summertime, you need to be putting all of your time and energy into marketing and sales and revenue generating activities so that in the wintertime, you can do all the organizing. This might mean in the summertime, things are a little bit crazy and chaotic. In the wintertime, you're gonna get them figured out, organized, better systems in place, so the next summertime, they're not as crazy. But you need to make sure that you're planning according to your seasons and you're not allowing yourself to spend time and energy when it's not appropriate for you to do so. Make sure that you are putting all of your time and energy into making revenue in your busy seasons. Nothing else belongs in those seasons except income producing activities. And then number 4, and this is the most important one, don't just accept it. Don't just say, this is my slow season and therefore I just don't make that much money. I want you to get creative. I want you to figure out how can you increase revenue, increase sales in those slow months. One way to do this is to ask yourself why people aren't buying now and what they're buying instead. This might give you some clues as to where you could be putting your time and energy. For example, and this is probably an obvious example if you're actually in this industry, but if you do something like lawn maintenance in the summertime, well, in the wintertime it's snowing, you don't really have lawns to maintain, but maybe your services change a little bit in the wintertime and you're shoveling snow instead. Look again to see what is the thing that's stopping them, and then how can I make sure that I'm offering something that's still on brand with my business? You know, I'm still taking care of people's yards, but now I'm doing it in a different way on these off seasons. Other ways that you can do this might include pre-selling services that you're not gonna actually provide until later on down the road or in the correct season. Doing something like a seasonal discount or a promotion. If people do book with you during your slow seasons, you offer a discount on those services or products provided just to increase your bookings or increase your sales sales during that time. Maybe you're gonna do gift cards. If you slow down over the Christmas holiday because everybody's money is going towards Christmas gifts, can you work that into your own business model and promote gift cards for your clients or customers to buy instead? Don't take slow seasons lying down. Don't just accept it as the norm. Really ask yourself, what else could I provide? Or what could I provide in a new way to be able to increase my revenue and break this feast or famine cycle? Even out your revenue so that it's not all happening in one time of the year. Now, on to the marketing problem. This is probably the more common one that I see, and I see it a lot with service-based entrepreneurs as well as product-based entrepreneurs. This is where we do enough marketing to get stuff coming in, and then we shift our energy to the things that have come in, and we're spending all of our time and resources providing the product or service that was just sold, neglecting our marketing in the meantime. So this means as we're doing this, our marketing starts to dwindle, new things are not coming in, these things have wrapped up, then we come back over here and we're like, oh crap, I have no money, and we hustle, trying to get the marketing back up to par. We've got to fix this problem if we want to fix the feast or famine problem. The way that I teach this in the inner circle is about buckets versus pipelines. Buckets are the active things that you do to bring in new business, right? It's the marketing and sales that requires your time and energy on an ongoing basis. Pipelines are the things that you can create that will continue to run in the background for you. What you get to figure out is how many buckets do I need to create to get things going? How much time can I set aside on a weekly or monthly basis to build the pipeline? And then make sure that you are continuing to do a minimum number of buckets every week or every month and a minimum amount on that pipeline on a consistent basis so that your buckets are going to bring in the business that you can then fulfill. Your pipeline is going to continue to bring in the business. Here's the thing that matters though. Buckets are fast and pipelines are slow. So don't spend all your time building a pipeline or you're not going to have any business in the meantime. You're going to be in famine mode until that pipeline gets finished, which can take a long time. You need to be hauling the buckets, doing the business that the buckets bring in, building the pipeline so that over time your pipeline slowly replaces your buckets activities. But one of the most important things you can do when it comes to this is protecting your time to market. It doesn't matter how much business you have now. It should not take away from your ability to bring in more. Your sales and marketing account for a certain number of hours in your week or maybe in your month. You must have that time set aside. You must protect that time, and you must not let the business that it has created overrun the marketing needed to create new business, or you will fall into that feast and famine cycle again. The way to get out of feast and famine, if it's not a seasonal thing, it's about consistency, making sure you know the minimum amount of time that needs to go into marketing and protecting that time at all costs so that you can keep things coming back in. You've got to remember that the marketing you do now is the business you're going to have 3, 6, and 12 months from now. So if you stop now because business is busy, that's really short-sighted. You're saying, well, business is busy now and it's going to be busy forever, right? That doesn't make any sense. The marketing you did 6 months ago got you busy now. The marketing you're doing now keeps you busy 6 months from now. Find that consistent marketing pace, that consistent marketing plan, protect it at all costs so that you can make sure you stay busy down the road. In either case, whether you are dealing with natural seasonal fluctuations or just inconsistent marketing, there is one thing that you need to do to try to fix this, and that is working on creating reoccurring revenue in your business. There are a few ways to do this, and I'm going to talk about the least preferred way to the most preferred way. The least preferred way would be to sell ad space. If you have a building, putting a billboard on the side of it. If you have a blog, selling some space on that blog. This is a least preferred because it could be the thing that dilutes what you're doing. It dilutes your branding and your messaging for your own clients. It's much better to focus on marketing your own business than advertising somebody else's. But if there is a way that that makes sense, for example, I have a YouTube channel, there's ads on this YouTube channel, that creates a monthly recurring revenue for me. If you have something like that in your business that can make sense for you, that is a good thing to implement. content. Next, look to see if you can add consumable products that still match your business, match your branding, but that encourage repeat purchases. Again, this won't work with every business or every industry, but just look to see, is there something that applies, health products, beauty products, home products, something that would fit with what my business is about and that would serve my clients and still be on brand for me. And lastly, would a subscription model make more sense? You can do a subscription model with services, with products, or even content. And again, this doesn't fit every business or every industry, but is there a way you could implement this into your own business? What would that look like for you? With any of these options, this creates a monthly recurring revenue that you can count on that will always pay your bills. It may fluctuate a little bit as people come in and out of it, but it's fairly steady and fairly reliable for you to count on in those slower seasons. Just make sure that you're not trying to add on more revenue streams before you've actually mastered or maxed out your first. I want you to remember, more revenue streams will not fix a marketing problem. It gives you more things to market, which means less opportunity to do so. You want to make sure that you figured out one really solid offer before you start adding in other things and diluting your time and energy further. And if you want to understand more about this, make sure to check out this video on why multiple streams of revenue might not be a good idea for you. And in fact, in most cases, is a really bad idea until you get to a certain place in your business. And as always, if you want help figuring out how to break the feast or famine cycle in your own business, be sure to check out my Healthy Hustle Roadmap. My free class, How to Use a Holistic Approach to Create a Profitable Business Without Burning Yourself Out, will show you the 3 mistakes small business owners are making and introduce you to the approach and strategies that I teach to help you create a reliable revenue stream, a reliable business in under 40 hours a week. The link to that free class is in the description below. Be sure to also leave me a fist bump in the comments if you made it to the end and let me know your biggest takeaway. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful or encouraging, and be sure to check out these other videos to help you grow your business as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.